In 2017, Jamie Dimon called Bitcoin a fraud. In 2026, a U.S. admiral confirmed in front of Congress that the American military uses it. How did we get here? What does it really mean for a normal Bitcoin holder? And is Bitcoin still the same asset it was 8 years ago? Let's dive in. April 29th, 2026, Washington, D.C., Senate Armed Services Committee. Most people didn't notice it. No headlines screaming, no breaking news alerts. But inside that room, something shifted. Admiral Samuel Paparo, head of Indo-PACOM, one of the most powerful military commands in the world, sat down and confirmed, under oath, that the United States military uses Bitcoin, not as an investment, not as a trade, as a tool for national defense, a tool for cybersecurity. And then came the words from Secretary Pete Hegseth. Bitcoin, described as a power projection tool. Stop for a second. Power projection tool is not finance vocabulary. It's military vocabulary. It's the same language used to describe aircraft carriers, nuclear submarines, strategic infrastructure, and it was just applied to Bitcoin. Let's rewind, just for a second. 2017, Jamie Dimon, CEO of J.P. Morgan, calls Bitcoin a fraud. 2019, the U.S. Treasury warns about crypto as a tool for criminals. 2022, FTX collapses, and half of Washington says crypto is dead. 2024, BlackRock launches a Bitcoin ETF. 2025, Trump signs an executive order setting up a strategic Bitcoin reserve. And now, 2026, the U.S. military is using Bitcoin for defense. 8 years. That's how long it took. 8 years to go from fraud to national security asset. No other financial instrument in modern history has moved that fast through the institutional ladder. Not gold, not oil, not even the internet itself. And that speed matters, because it tells you something about how serious governments now take this asset. Okay, pause. I want to make something clear here, because a lot of creators will take this news and turn it into hype. That's not what we do here. If you like this kind of calm, fact-based approach, hit the like button. It genuinely helps the channel stay in this lane. And while we're at it, quick question for you. When you first heard that the Pentagon was using Bitcoin, what was your gut reaction? Shock? Doubt? Excitement? Something else? Drop it in the comments. I read them all. Now, back to the real question. What does power projection really mean? In military terms, it's the ability of a country to operate outside its own borders, with force, with speed, and with resilience. Traditionally, that meant fleets, bases, satellites. But in the 21st century, power is also digital. Networks, data, payments, communication. And Bitcoin, by design, has 3 properties that militaries find extremely attractive. 1. It doesn't depend on any single bank, country, or intermediary. 2. It cannot be frozen the way a traditional dollar account can. 3. It works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even if half the world's infrastructure goes down. That's the part most retail holders miss. Bitcoin wasn't built for traders. It was built for resilience. And resilience is exactly what a military needs. Let's stay factual here. The testimony didn't say the Pentagon is buying Bitcoin by the billions. It said something more subtle and more interesting. According to the confirmations given to the committee, Bitcoin is being used as a node to help secure certain military networks. Think about that for a second. A Bitcoin node inside a defense network. That means the U.S. military is now relying, in part, on the exact same blockchain you and I can verify at home. The same ledger, the same rules, the same code. No favors, no backdoor, no private version of Bitcoin for Washington. The second use case is geopolitical. Bitcoin as a way to maintain economic influence when traditional banking channels become weapons. Sanctions, asset freezes, correspondent banking. These tools are powerful, but they also push countries to look for alternatives. And Bitcoin, whether Washington likes it or not, is now part of that conversation. Here's where it gets serious. Up until April 29, 2026, Bitcoin was mostly classified in three categories: a speculative asset, a hedge against inflation, a digital gold. All three of these are financial labels, but a power projection tool is not a financial label. It's a strategic one. And once an asset becomes strategic for a superpower, its narrative changes forever. Think about gold. Gold didn't become real money because traders decided so. It became real money because governments started holding it in vaults and backing their currencies with it. Bitcoin isn't there yet, but for the first time, we have an official, public acknowledgement that a major military sees it as part of its toolkit. That's not a prediction. That's a shift in category. Now, the most important part. What does this actually change for a normal Bitcoin holder? Let's be honest. It doesn't magically increase your stack. It doesn't guarantee a price target. It doesn't remove volatility. Anyone telling you Bitcoin will moon now because the Pentagon uses it is selling you a story, not a truth. But here's what does change: institutional legitimacy. When the U.S. military confirms publicly that it uses Bitcoin, it becomes almost impossible for regulators, banks, and Wall Street firms to pretend the asset isn't real. It lowers the political risk. It raises the credibility floor. It makes it easier for pension funds, insurance companies, and sovereign wealth funds to justify an allocation. Not tomorrow, not next month, but over years. And that is the kind of shift that actually matters for long-term holders. Quick one before we continue. If this video is helping you see Bitcoin in a different way, consider subscribing. The channel grows on viewers who want facts, not hype. Also, I'm curious, do you see Bitcoin the same way you did 3 years ago? Or has something changed in how you look at it? Tell me in the comments. I'll pin the most thoughtful answers. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Every time an institution embraces Bitcoin, it also changes it a little. When Wall Street arrived with ETFs, Bitcoin became more correlated with traditional markets. When governments started holding it, Bitcoin became a political object. Now that the military is using it, Bitcoin becomes something else again. It becomes infrastructure. And infrastructure always comes with rules: monitoring, compliance, oversight. The Bitcoin of 2026 is not the Bitcoin of 2013. It still has the same 21 million supply, the same blocks, the same proof of work. But the world around it is no longer the same. And as a holder, you have to understand that trade-off. You gain legitimacy, but you also gain attention. You gain adoption, but you also gain scrutiny. That's not a bad thing. It's just the reality of what happens when an asset grows up. So, where does this leave us? 8 years ago, Bitcoin was a fraud in the eyes of Wall Street. Today, it's a tool in the hands of the U.S. military. Tomorrow, it could be something we don't even have the words for yet. What we do know is this: the category has shifted. The legitimacy has shifted. The stakeholders have shifted. And the job of a serious holder is no longer just to understand price charts. It's to understand what Bitcoin now represents in the world. Because the asset you hold is not just financial anymore. It's geopolitical. It's strategic. It's institutional. And that changes everything about how you should think about it long term.